This journey will guide inside the ride where we fly. Virtual roads touch the sky. Join us here, don't be shy. Inside the ride, yeah, we hide.
Welcome to Inside the Ride and a brand new episode with myself, host Cybrady. And once again, I'm pleased to say I'm joined by co-host Matt Smithson, which can only mean one thing. Good things are coming soon, Matt, right?
100%, mate. That's why we're here today. Going to be an exciting show. We've got so much to talk about, and it's good to talk to you. We had a chat last night, and that was the first chat I think we've had in about 2 weeks. So we can catch up on lots of stuff while we're doing the podcast today, all things MyWhoosh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks. There's a lot going on. I have to say, Matt, I do have a little bit of a bone to pick with you today. So I want to get this out of the way, right? Because I know you've been busy. I know I've seen some pictures of you riding outside. And was it Yabuyace or Hafit that you rode recently as well?
Yeah, luckily to do the sponsors ride with the UAE Team Emirates. And I've got the full kit now, so I head out like a pro of a morning.
I did see that.
I looked good. I was on my team Colnago riding up there. It was only the size and shape that made me not look like a professional, and the speed I went up the climb. But it was a great day out, and thank you to the team to doing that. All of the sponsors, there were so many people went up there, and it's a tough climb.
Yeah, it looked like a great day, I must admit. And I like your self-confidence there that you said you look good in the kit as well. So we all like to pretend to be pro some days as well. But I do want to get into Sunday Race Club because I've got this bone to pick with you because you missed what I think was the hardest route that I've ever done in SRC as well. Look, don't get me wrong. Sunday Race Club in February was awesome. You know, the variety of the routes. The racing was incredible, or that's how I felt in Cat 4. Maybe that's just because I'm getting slightly more competitive again. I did pick up a result early February, and then it declined for the rest of the month as fatigue. But that final route in Japan, right? Yes, it was awesome, but it was incredibly difficult. My biggest bugbear with you is you didn't ride it. You didn't ride that one, so you don't know how tough this was. What was the feedback like? I've given you my feedback now. Did you get any feedback from the community? Because that was incredible.
I did, and it's interesting you say that. A friend of mine, Bridget, in Australia, had 2 kilometres to go, and she sent me a picture and a video of her just trying to get up the top, right? And I realised at that point it was difficult. We realised probably a week and a half out how hard it was going to be. And we actually had a meeting and we thought, will we continue on with it? And we're like, yeah, let's go out in a blaze of glory on this one because we want to make some changes moving forward, as we saw last week where it was flatter, faster, breaking up some different results. Well, I think we had 19 to the finish in Cat 4 or 5 in the men, and I think it was Cat 3 ladies were all together for a big sprint finish. So it was a bit of I'm not going to say a last goodbye, but I'd like to try moving forward, mixing it up a little bit more, go out in a blaze of glory with that hard one in Japan. The feedback from a lot of people was, we get that it's hard and it was a good challenge, a bit like it was the endurance climb. But unfortunately, and this is only my opinion, I feel that the result is really defined before we start on those type of routes.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and I'd like to have a little bit more variation in what we're doing and really start to replicate a bit more, not just... Look, the best person should win. I think that's one of the beauties of esports, but it's always good to be competitive. So I think last week showed that. And what was interesting on last week is we went through that little climb in Liwa, right? And and so we do that a lot. Into the Jebel Hafet event, we go up that. In a few of them, we use it because it's just after the water climb, I call it. I don't know what the aquarium climb. And I think each group was about 25% faster than normal going up there because it was the only piece that people could really whack it up there. So it showed a different dynamic. And so the feedback, I actually got a message from Lionel and he said, I thought that'd be easy. I bet you thought that would be easy. That was absolutely brutal. And it was flat, right? So racing's racing.
That's exactly it, right? And you mentioned there of, yes, the best man or the best lady should win and the strongest individual should win. But, you know, as we see in Grand Tours and other events, right, with different routes, different, if there's climbs or flats or, different parkours, that's what I was looking for, that different riders have those different strengths. And I felt through February, that's what we saw, because we did have some more roll into flatter routes earlier in the month, and that, that's where I managed to pick up my second place, because there was just that. We were in Colombia and we got that really short 5 kilometer climb just to finish. And I think what we're seeing there as well, of moves are staying away in the flatter rolling sections as well. Certainly that's what I saw in Cat 4. There's certain riders that we got to watch, Josh Haggerty in Cat 4, JJ Miller, that when those guys go, I know you've got to follow, and it doesn't always stay away. But that's, me, it's just reminiscent of when I was racing on the road. You've got to watch for the right move at the right time. And you won't always be in the right move, but with the dynamics now and the way the racing's going, you've got to have that. It's not just sit and wait for that final climb and then, the guy with the biggest watts or the girl with the biggest watts is going to get to the top first. You've got to have a little bit of racecraft about you now as well, and with these segments. So already, I think with the changes that you've done, and I keep saying to this, people ask me all the time, well, what's happening with SRC? I'm like, genuinely, I'm not part of that SRC team, right? Thankfully. So I don't have much to do with that, but I think the changes you've made have given some great dynamic racing there as well.
Yeah, they have. We've made some changes to this month. There's a couple of changes that we made to the categorization. The men, a little bit of changes that we've made. We probably upped some categories and we dropped some people down, and so the categories should be a fraction stronger than they were, and that was driven a bit of the separation in Cat 1 is so hard. Some people need to come down that are just not competitive at all at that level, and then that's a knock-on effect all the way down. Where I was sort of getting towards the top sort of 10 or so in Cat 5, I should be now midfield. So that sort of changed a little bit, and Cat 6 was probably not strong enough. With the ladies, we've made some wholesale changes. We wanted to really balance it out more. With the ladies, you tend to find that there's a really big grouping between sort of 3.1, 3.2 watts a kilo and about 3.8. And the problem was we were trying to jam all of them into one category, and some were getting stuck in Cat 2, and then we had this huge Cat 3, and then it dropped down to Cat 4 it was spilling into. And 5 and 6, honestly, were not strong enough with what we did with the bringing in 5 and 6. So a lot of work from Lisa, who really looks after that side of the women's SRC. She came back and she said, Matt, this is hard racing. You need to be fit to do it. Let's cater for those people that are fit and want to race. And I'm like, Lisa, you just tell me what we need to do. Not blaming Lisa for where this is going, by the way. This is everyone here at MyWhoosh's decision. So we've sort of strengthened up. Where Cat 6, you're going to be 2.7-ish now in Cat 6. It's not going to be around that 2 where it was. So last week we saw, 30 to 35 in each category. We saw some really good racing. I think it's working. We'll still tweak that and make some changes. We've moved the ladies back to the 35-kilometre route, and I got a bit of flack from that and a bit of positivity. Simple answer is I think I got nearly 70 requests over the last month or so. Why is it so long? Why can't I use my partner's trainer? Why are you giving us the men's courses? Why are you sending us up the big climbs? I didn't get one message saying, hey, this is really cool and we love it. So I changed it back thinking that's what everybody wanted. I then got a bunch of emails saying we want it to be 45 kilometres. So I'm really sorry, everybody. We've gone back to it. I think it's a good way to do it. It helps the fact that people can share some trainers and encourage each other on and not racing and stressing out. The broadcast works a lot better. We can make sure we cover everyone and everything. I can have different routes. I'm sorry, but that Fuji route was too hard for Cat 6 men and Cat 4, 5, and 6 women. That was not fun at all for anybody in any of that, whether they were climbers, sprinters, whatever type of athletes they were. But it was a great course for Cat 1 men and women. So I want everyone racing together. I don't want separate races for separate groups. And to do that, we've gone back to the 35 kilometres. We've got special routes we're designing for that. They're not just going to be rehashes of the old ones. I think last week we ran Belgium because it's a cool race, but there's some new ones coming out. So that's why we've done it. We're going to stick with that for this period of time. Is it open to review at some point? Yes. Some of the bespoke ones will be a bit longer than that 35, but we're going to have a different route for men to women moving forward.
I think that makes sense. And this is one of the reasons, Matt, why I'm always glad I'm not part of that SRC team, because My feeling is, as a racer and a community member at the same time, and engaging with the community on a regular basis, is that I don't think it matters what you do sometimes, you'll never win, because there's always going to be a group who, like the dynamic racing, right? There's going to be people who win on a climb. There's going to be people who go better on those flat courses. And sometimes it's in our human nature that we'll complain if there's too much of one and not enough of the other as well, right? If it just doesn't suit you on that day. Because we're all competitive individuals. That's why we turn up to SRC. You want to be competitive. But Belgium, I've never had a good result on Belgium. I just don't do enough lactate tolerance work and 3 to 4 minute efforts in my training to be good on that route. I need to, because I really need to support the team better on those. But it's one of those things that you never win, Matt. That's my feeling.
Yeah, no, look, you don't. You can't. You just battle on and do your best. And it's an interesting thing you say, and it's Ramadan here at the moment in Abu Dhabi and in the Middle East. It is around the world, of course. And it's a really time here for reflection and thanking and those types of things within not just the business, but within the community as a whole here. And I was actually thinking this morning and talking about some stuff today about SRC, is everybody forgets, it's easy for me and yourself to be the faces and the figureheads, and I've got the best job in the world, right? All of those things. But I sit here and I think about Tariq and about Seth and about the guys that are in here on Sunday for 12 hours every Sunday, the broadcast team run by Bakar. All of them are coming in because they need to deliver SRC to the community. They then get a day off midweek to make up for missing their Sunday. And I know it's their choice, it's their job, don't get me wrong. But we don't thank them enough. They're in early, they're updating teams, they're updating weights, they're making any last minute category changes. There's just so many things that go into the SRC that I think people forget. Tariq and Seth design all these routes for me. I say, I want 40 kilometres and I want this and I want that. And so they sit there for days figuring this stuff out. And then the report won't generate on crashes or the verification report. And I know for a fact that Tariq was here till 2 a.m. Ensuring that all the reports were done correctly last weekend. And I just want to give a bit of a shout out to those guys in the team that do this. And for the community just to understand, this isn't me smiling on these things, putting this together, and MyWhoosh does a great job of SRC. There is so many pieces and aspects to this. And if anyone gets the chance to shout out to the team behind the scenes, that'd be pretty cool too. And I know a lot of them speak to them through the MyWhoosh, race control page or the customer service page or support at MyWhoosh. So yeah, there's a lot goes into it. So thank you guys for all of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a lot of work I can see that goes into that. And there's always, I must admit, I've messaged them a time or two and say, can we get this last minute change or shift in a team or shift in a rider? Be amazed if, unfortunately, how much of that comes in sometimes. But no, it's great to see. And talking about, community at the same time, right? We've got MyWhoosh info. I think we've got to talk about this. I'm hoping that we're going to get Jakob on the show at some point. But MyWhoosh info is as a community project, I mean, hats off to Jakob. He seems to be working every day, and I'm seeing a post on Facebook with updates and so on. I think it's got to the point, Matt, where we are going to help him out a little bit with some access, I think, because he's done a great job with what he's built so far, with the results and the routes, the worlds, everything.
Do you know how often I use that site? It's crazy how many times I need to look something up about, someone will ask about a categorization or whatever, and his records and results and stuff just make it so easy to look at for me, let alone for the community. He's done a great job. I've not met the guy. I've not had a call with him or anything as yet. I know we're going to open up some better API style of access so he can do some more things. It's just exciting that somebody's grabbed this. I think we definitely needed to do it. He's running with it. He's going to get some more data about, free rides and some basic sort of things. But hats off to him and thank you for the work that's been done on that. I think the community like it. I certainly like it. I filter workouts, searching workouts, because it's easier to do it on MyWhoosh info than it is to do it on MyWhoosh, right? So I jump on there and I look for a workout. I did it this morning. I was looking for 30-second efforts, and I figured it out, and I ended up doing anaerobic 30 by 33s this morning because I found it on the MyWhoosh info.
Yeah, no, it's the library is great. And I must admit, I did a live last night. I actually have his page open underneath because the detail on the workout really helps. I mean, actually, that's going to lead on to a discussion we're going to have because we are going to talk about the new release, right, which is coming. And there's a lot of great stuff coming in there with workouts and all sorts of stuff as well. But talk about the speed that Jakob is doing these things. Someone shared a map. I ride with Level Racing for SRC, for example. And when we did, I think it was the Belgian course or maybe it was the Colombian one, someone shared this detailed map of elevation. And obviously, I'm used to seeing the one that we normally have on our webpage, right, which doesn't have the different colours of the gradients. And I'm like, who's done this map, guys? I've never seen this before. And Jakob basically had got one of his old GPS files, I guess, and built this colour-coded. It goes red when it goes above into double figures and so on. I'm like, yeah, this is really cool now, and it was just like you. It's shortcutted on my browser here, and it's probably one of my most frequently visited sites too.
Yeah.
So, and I will say, I mentioned that we're launching a couple series and leagues. We launched the individual time trial league back in February, which was great. We had 860 riders take part in February's individual time trial league, and he built the league. He put it together so we could get the accumulated time over the 4 different events. And he's got the results there. You can separate out via category, via gender, via age as well. So I'll give Cara Tranter. I told her husband, Tim, I would give Cara a shout out on the podcast as well, because she was the only female, I think, to finish all 4, and she topped the table in the women's category for the individual time trial for February as well. Matt, I need you to get on this one for March as well. You can at least manage stage 1 because it's less than 8 kilometres. It's 10 minutes of riding.
Okay.
That's all you got to do.
All right.
That'll work for you, right?
I can do that. No, I've made a comeback recently. I think I'm averaging about 350 a week for this year. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really trying to get back. We ventured up to Sweden recently and had a look at the Sweden championships. Now, I believe there was close to 500,000 people watched this live. Our own Lisa finished 2nd or 3rd at the end of it. It was a live event. It was fantastic job in that being put together by the Swedish Federation. Thank you for having me up there. Thank you for showing me that part of the world and the passion for esports. We're also going to do Australia. I hope that can be announced, but we're doing the Australian Esports Championships in April. So with a little bit of luck, I'll be heading down to say hello to everyone at home. I'd say my family. And head down and we'll do that. We've got some other things to announce coming shortly with some other championships. For people out there, I'm working really hard on getting those championship jerseys for the winning athletes in the game. I've got a bit of a process towards that. I know that there's a few people really asking for it. So that's coming.
Live workouts. We've had Peter Sagan.
Yeah.
In between Dancing with the Stars, has been doing these live workouts on a Tuesday night as well. And I think we had almost 200 riders last night.
Yeah.
I can't remember which workout it was, but it looked rather intense, and there's quite a bit of red in the workout from what I saw there as well. And it's great to see those picking up, and then we're getting these sort of legends of the cycling world involved in these live workouts.
Yeah, we are. The Peter one's been interesting. We had a great turnout to his first week, and then we probably didn't message to people as well as we could that this was going to be an ongoing. And it dropped off a bit week 1, and I felt really bad about the whole situation. And then last night, it's back up a couple of hundred people. I think from that will grow it a bit more. Like when you get to ride with Peter, like it's cool, right? So, yeah, there's lots of stuff going on here. It's just I'm excited at the moment more than normal with the pace of what is happening. And let's get on to the new release, I think, and talk about some of the cool stuff happening there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to do this in any particular order, but I will say the one thing I want to get out there first, and how much you can say or not, but what I will say is I've got quite a special ride going on this afternoon because I'm doing some testing in the new release, which is 4.0, and I'm quite excited for this because I'm going to be able to ride the Suppressor and the Poggio today.
Yeah, you are.
Which is quite cool. And I don't know if we've given this a name yet, Matt. You can tell me, but has it got a name? You know the new feature that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's event only, but has it got a name even?
No. That's a good...
Maybe we put it out to the community.
Yeah, that's a good one. So what Si's talking about here is the dynamic road creation. So we've got the ability to take a GPX file at any time, drop it into the game, create it as an event. So it's not open for people to drop their own in yet.
Yeah.
We may do that. The ability there is probably to do that in the next couple of months. But what we're going to look to do is some great events where, and look, Si's the smart guy on the events, not me, but, ride the last 30 kilometres of the Grand Tours, and we'll put it on about when we expect that last 30 kilometres to be, put the telly on, ride the same route. Do it with some of the classics, do some things like that. So that's what's coming. I know that our testing team that's just expanded out here, by the way, we've got 5 people now that just sit and ride things all the time, not QA, but just actually testing things out.
What a job!
I know. They're getting super fit. One of them's gone up 2 categories in SRC. Actually, he's the only one that does it.
One of these is not Francis Pino, is he? Who keeps making progress in SRC? I notice he seems to be getting stronger every week.
Francis is doing really well with it. So he's got there's a large cycling community, and a few have come across here. So they're actually testing this as we speak. They were kicking off as we started filming, so I'm about to run up and see how that ended up. So that's a huge feature, but yeah, it'll be part of 4.0 release. Now 4.0 it's a big one for us. It's going to be next week with a bit of luck. Could be the week after, but we're aiming for next week. We've done our store submissions. We're pretty booked into this one at this point. It's only if anything major comes up, we won't hit it. And there's some really cool stuff happening. So it's not just the dynamic road creation, but, I'm happy to jump in on these. So I know you've got probably more detail than me, but the things that excite me are there's changes to drafting and dynamics. So in our beta testing, the feedback's been fantastic. That will be available in this. So our calculations on how the game applies drafting is different. So it's not so much that the draft and you get a bigger draft or a stronger draft. It's how the game calculates when you're drafting and not has been changed.
Yep.
And changed
it's more
for the
dynamic,
better.
I believe, right?
It really is. It's like it thinks where you're moving to and tends to predict where you should be drafting from versus picking the nearest to. So it's some clever stuff. So the development and engineering team have done an outstanding job of taking Rod's sort of idea and the physics characteristics forward on this. So that you're going to see some huge changes in that aspect. And people have said to me, don't make it easier, but it's not making it easier, it's making it more consistent. And I think that's the key. That may in turn make some aspects easier, some aspects harder, but it's a big change. My second one, and I wasn't a fan of this, I'll be honest. I didn't think we should bother doing it. And that's the virtual shifting is coming.
Yep.
I've now become a fan of it, right? So virtual shifting will work on any cog scenario, any cassette, anything like that. Now, the reason why I've become a fan of it, my son has an 11-speed road bike. I have a 12-speed road bike. My son uses my trainer. Every time either I ride a trainer with an 11-speed or he rides a trainer with a 12-speed cassette, it jumps all over the place. It drives me insane. And if I've got virtual shifting, I can just go to him, mate, just deal with it, push the buttons on the screen or figure out how it can toggle with other buttons available in the market and all those sort of things. So what we've done, we've picked at 30 gears and there's a very small increment between them. There'll be a middle baseline of gear 15, I think it is. And you can go either way with that. Now, we'll have some instructions in what gear to put your bike in to do that. But what I'm saying to everybody is this. If you pick a gear like a 53, 17 or 19 and you go gear 15 should be 80 or 90 RPM at my comfortable cadence at 30k an hour, that's great. If that's too hard to pedal, move it to the 19 and your center number at 15 will be a fraction easier, right? If you're fixed with a cog, that's fine. Just find where you prefer to be on gear 18, 19, 15, 12, whatever that is. But what's interesting is a lot of the guys talk about sometimes the resistance is not enough in MyWhoosh when they're using 50% gradient. So they could actually set it on gear 13 in 5313 and then make their 15 that center. So there's lots of cool things we'll work with it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to rolling that out. We don't have our own buttons for that at the moment. I'm seeing in the beta that people are figuring out how to use all sorts of buttons on it.
Exactly. That was one of my comments, right? Because it's one of the things I've been testing. And this is one of the great things I wanted to mention, actually, that you've, of course, had these beta testers now. We've had people on this platform testing for some time, and there's a Facebook community, and it's sort of own that's developed there as well. And some of the feedback and comments has been absolutely phenomenal. But what I'd seen, and I'm actually going to be testing this afternoon, I said to Rod that I'm going to be testing, is setting up hotkeys to trigger this. I've got you can't see behind me, but I've got an Elgato Stream Deck there. So I've basically programmed 2 buttons so I can use those to change gears.
Right.
And I think this is what we're going to see. I think we've already seen it in that beta community. That people will be programming all kinds of switches to change gear.
Yeah, someone was telling me they've got a clicker that they change the pages on their Kindle. They figured that out. They've used, Zwift have a great product in this space. People have figured out how to use that. I just want to be very clear while we talk about that. We will not be hacking or making code changes to other people's equipment in what we're doing here. That's not what MyWhoosh does. It's not what we're looking to do, even if the community is screaming for it. Guys, if you want to figure that out for yourselves, how to do those sorts of things with some apps and things that are out there, I'm sure that you can figure that out. It is not something that we will be looking and undoing all the hard work another platform have done with their own products to make it work on our products. So apologies for those people that may think that's coming. We want to keep this above board. We just want to, keep everyone happy in this space and just keep more people riding. So that's coming. The other thing, and again, I wasn't in agreement to it, but we've done it, is let's call it dumb trainers, not smart trainers, old school trainers with a speed sensor. Again, Rod and his team of testers, they've now developed that. So speed sensors are going to work in-game, and they've got all of the algorithms from the main trainers. You're going to be able to pick that, so they're relatively accurate. Rod was showing me how surprisingly accurate the prediction is. Now, it's only for a free ride and some workouts. You can't race on it, and that's what we want. And that brings then into the MyWhoosh Police that's coming out. So in the game, if people are riding around at speeds that deem you better than a Tour de France rider or Olympic champions, the game's just going to kick you out. So anybody that's, and that was one of the problems with speed sensors and when they were released on other platforms. So we've sort of got to fix with that. So there's so much happening, and that's not even talking about the new UI.
Yeah, there's 2 sides to what you just said there, right? Of the new hardware, the extended hardware that a lot of our users, and we've seen this in the growth of people using our VODs and the live workouts, are doing workouts and free riding, and doing the 2 things together, if you like, there as well. So it makes sense with that you can use a speed sensor based on that, or a dumb trainer for that. No problem at all, because you're not affecting or impacting anyone's competitive event or race. We've got a lot of people come to our platform because we've got so many workouts. We've got this unique feature with the VODs and so on. It makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, we have seen with like the individual time trial league, for example, that we know there are certain people who are further up that leaderboard than they probably would be, are utilizing those. So I think bringing the smart or the dumb trainers in with the police at the same time to monitor certain events, not all events, but those competitive events that want to have that level of policing, makes absolute sense. I think there's a nice balance that we're finding there.
Yeah, and it'll be in free ride as well. So if someone's riding around at 80 kilometres an hour, they're going to get taken out of the game now.
Yeah.
So I just think it's better for the community. So that's a positive. And then the other great one that the team have developed is this workout creator. So one of the difficult parts I've always found is I'll have some old workouts in Training Peaks, or I've got to jump online, I've got to create this workout, because I actually don't really use the predefined workouts that we have in game. remind me to come back to the workout. I want to talk about that as well today. But what this is, it's a separate website you're going to go into. It's a MyWhoosh workouts. I'm sure we'll get the name out there. And you actually create your own workout really easily on your computer. You can do it at work, do it on the train on the way home, however you want to do those things, and then push it directly into game. So you can share that with people. You can import it. You can import other workouts, I believe, that you have saved in your system, and then you can drop them all into MyWhoosh. So it just makes that workout creation easier. I can't wait for that because I'll put a workout together in a couple of minutes and just jump on and do it. I don't have to search through MyWhoosh info looking for them. The other thing we're doing, and this is what I want to talk about with workouts, and everybody has their own opinion. I'm just going to throw mine out there. The amount of questions we get of what is my target cadence for this workout on our social channels is absolutely crazy. Now, I challenge anybody, unless you are doing torque efforts or strength endurance type stuff, to show me any data that any difference between 80 RPM and 120 RPM makes any difference whatsoever. But anyway, I digress. We have the ability to slowly update all of those workouts with some instructions, and I'm going to put in most of them. There is no target cadence for this. So, that's just my thing. If there is a target cadence, we're going to tell you there's one. If there's not, we're going to say there's not. So that'll save the 7,400 questions we get each week on what my cadence should be. So, and we'll get some updates. We're also looking at adding nutritional updates in. So we're working with a few nutrition companies to say, during this workout, you need to have 2 gels, 1 bidon or whatever with some instructions. So we can add all that in a lot easy. So there's a lot of stuff. And let's talk about the UI changing.
Yeah,
totally.
The workout builder I think is great, and it's browser based, so I think you can access it from multiple. The point is you don't have to open the game to build. I think I mentioned this last time we spoke actually, because I never actually knew that the workout builder was there in game and it was so easy to use. And now having that browser based, like you say, whether you're sat on the on your tablet or your phone or your PC, you can open it up in the browser and you can do that, which I think is awesome. But yeah, the UI I think is the big change I've seen. Well, actually, I've got to talk about the workout UI because for me, that was the most critical. So I spend most of my time doing workouts and live workouts and so on. And the biggest criticism as a coach I had as well previously was not being able to see the power requirements of the block I'm about to go into.
Yep.
If you've got a 1 minute zone 6 block coming, not being able to see what the actual power was until you'd started it, it wasn't the end of the world, but it was a little bit of a frustration. Now we've got this new section, I want to say on the left-hand side of the screen, where you can see the next block. You can see the whole workout if you're not in the video mode as well, because there's a slight adjustment if you're using a VOD or live workout, but you can still see the next couple of blocks which are coming in terms of the time and the power. But I think you also want to mention that, which I only noticed again yesterday when I did a free ride test, is the UI with a map and the elevation in free ride and race mode. It also is a massive improvement.
Yeah, it is. It's been moved up to the top right, I think, now. So it's a bit more eye-line sort of driven than looking down and left. It's a little bit clearer to figure out where you are and what you're trying to achieve. From the workout, I agree. Totally. I used to hate it. I'd look at it and I'd go, have I got 3 minutes or 5 minutes coming up, and at what power is it? And I get stressed by it. I really would. So the team done a great job on that. We've had some arguments in the office on should we be counting down or counting up, because the game currently counted up and down, and that was even more confusing.
I saw that discussion you were having. Yeah,
and I wanted it to count up, but everyone else made it count down, so it's going to count down. A lot of people have asked to track their total time riding, so that's now in workouts.
Yeah.
I want to have a look at a few different things. We might talk a little bit later on about how we change the nearby list and some things like that. But the UI is cleaner. I think that it's a more natural feel and flow to what's happening. The 3-second power has been fixed as well. That's another big one for me. Power's power, right? It doesn't really matter what it says. But the smoothness of the game, I always related to how smooth my power was. So 3-second
Yeah.
power smoothing is back kicked in. It certainly makes erg mode a lot better as well. And
Yes,
so I'm
I
riding
agree.
along and I'm not bouncing from 190 to a 206 and 195 and all of those things. So that's a lot smoother. That's a fix that's come in. There's just so much stuff happening in this release. I can't wait for people to get out there and try it. I said to the development team in a meeting this morning, this is a big step forward for us. It's not, we always know we've got work to do. We're never going to be perfect. We're only ever going to get to 98%. There's always a few percent of improvement in anything anybody does. This one's a step closer, and I can't wait for some of the feedback. There's some UI things that I think is not how I wanted to do it, but it may be how the community wants it done. There's been some very internal arguments around what's important, what's not. So we've actually got some space 3 or 4 weeks from now to make UI changes. So if the community want things differently, I've actually locked away that 3 or 4 weeks from now to bring those in.
I'm just looking also, there's a massive list of, we spoke about this just before we came into show in the pre-production aspect. There's a load of new garage items, and we got to discuss this at some point, because I think we're going to hold some of these back, hopefully, and we can do them gradually, because I'm seeing like a list of 20, maybe 30, even more new items for the garage as well. So I want to try and hold some of those back so we could do some special events and unlocks as well. But we've got stuff coming from Oakley, Giant, HGC, Naked, Live, of course, which part the Giant group as well. But there is a lot of new eyewear, bikes, glasses, jerseys, all sorts of stuff.
There is, and I really want as a focus as a team to get this season pass to be a little bit more effective for the community and for riding. So I want to take away from it just being a world's release, and we've really got a really good stepped approach. We planned it out a little bit better. And some of these items I think we'll hold across for that, but they'll be able to be seen in-game. We need to change his garage up as well. I think that's on the plans. Do some different things in there, make it a bit more entertaining, have a play around with some different options, get some retro bikes and some upgrades and some things like that available. And that's on the path.
Have you talking about season pass? We're in the midst of a season pass now. I think we got like 19 or 20 days as we speak today left on this season pass. I've unlocked everything already, Matt. I've absolutely smashed this season. What about you?
No, I've been
given the fact that you've stated how many miles or kilometres you've been doing on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I've been sneaking outside a little bit more than inside, but no, I've been on 4.0, so that won't count towards my season pass. So I've been too busy testing and having a bit of a
testing.
Look at
stuff.
Okay, it's got bad now. I used to do all the testing, and now I stand behind someone's shoulder and look at what they're doing.
So watching the testing rather than riding, but at least you've been getting out there. Well, I'm going to be able to see this new sort of svelte mat very soon as well, because of course you're going to be in London.
Yeah, going to be in London
the start of next month.
Yeah, I might even sneak over a couple of days early and have a look around and relax in a quiet English pub somewhere for a day or two. But yeah, we've got SuperTri, which will be a great event. It's really building up well. And what I'd like to talk about just quickly on SuperTri is moving forward, that functionality is available to triathlon clubs, to people all around the world wanting to run a duathlon on a treadmill and a trainer, a pool, however they want to do it. Now, the key functionality with this that's very different to anybody else is we can allow a run login and a ride login under the same login. So it will be one event from start to finish.
Not two separate accounts, yeah.
We'll have transition time, bike time, run time, swim time. All of that functionality is available. So it treats them as separate events linked to one person. So you will ride, you get that ride time. It will then take the time from when you rode to when you start moving the treadmill to being your transition time, etc., etc. So, and then it will collate into one thing, where other platforms, I believe, in the past have had to use different logins and then combine.
Yeah.
So what the team have done here is awesome. I can't wait to roll that out with the triathlon community. I think that this is something that the triathlon community has been asking for a long time, to have a platform to allow them to do this on their Friday night club meets or to do these different things around the world. The NPE sensor is great for that, for the treadmill. You can get those quite accurate. Grab a trainer and you can have this duathlon mode, or do in the pool, and we just add the swim mode into it as well.
Yeah, no, it certainly sounds exciting. I know Rod messaged me and said, have I got a treadmill to do any testing? And I very quickly shut that one down. So hopefully some of your testers are doing that
I
in the office
hide
as well.
They talk about running, and I go and hide in the bathroom or the pantry or something. I don't never. Can you just jog on this for 5 minutes? No, I can't. Sorry. But yeah, no, we got a heap of treadmills set up. I like the idea of that assault one. I'd like to try that one day it's powered by the runner, but I think
the self-powered stuff as well. Well, I did hear a rumor that we might have to get involved at SuperTri at some point as well, and I think we did speak about that before. So maybe we both have to disappear at that point as well. I know we're also talking about that. That might be our next podcast together, because we're going to try and do a podcast. So don't hold me to this, community, but we're going to try and do a podcast while we're together in London as well, because it's been a few months already since we've been together.
And it'd be great to get some of the people that from the platform or SRC or whatever to come down, have a chat with us. We'll take some snippets and have a bit of fun and get to meet everybody. So yeah, we can certainly set something like that up through the Facebook page or a chat along those lines.
Yeah, you met some of the community while you were in Sweden as well. So yeah, hats off. Anyone who wants to come down and meet the Matt Smithson, who spends a lot of time travelling around, then in London at SuperTri. I think it's the 5th of April, if I remember right, around that, right?
Yeah, so we'll be there for a few days before, and I'll be out of there pretty quickly, though, not because I don't love SuperTri, but it's a long way from there to Australia.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and you've got to get over there potentially for those national champs as well. But I think kids go free as well, because my wife's going to come down and bring the kids down as well, because I think in that environment where SuperTri, it's an incredible pool and facilities, and the whole area that was built, of course, for the 2012 Olympics is incredible as well. So my family are going to come down, and hopefully we get to meet some of the community, Matt. So thanks again for listening to Inside the Ride by MyWhoosh. Don't forget, you can listen. You could also watch this podcast over on the YouTube channel as well. That's incidentally where you can also watch the exciting racing if you don't want to particularly get involved with Sunday Race Club every week as well. But I would encourage you to come along and give that a go, because it is some of the most competitive dynamic racing that I think you're going to get anywhere in sight. It's hard, but you will certainly progress in terms of your fitness levels as well. I've been Si Bradley. This man next to me has been Matt Smithson, and we'll see you soon for another Inside the Ride by MyWhoosh.
On this journey we'll guide, inside the ride, where we fly. Virtual roads touch the sky. Join us here, don't be shy.